Hello everybody, this is WarriorDan, and today we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed. Nope, not that one, not that one, and no, definitely not that one. There we go. Assassin's Creed Syndicate was initially announced on May 12, 2015, and subsequently was released later that fall, on October 23rd for consoles and November 19th for the PC platform. Assassin's Creed Syndicate made franchise history for, at the time, being the first mainstream Assassin's Creed series entry to not be developed by Ubisoft Montreal, who at the time had overseen the entirety of the Assassin's Creed series, and thus had essentially become the public face for the series. Instead, development of Assassin's Creed Syndicate was handed off to Ubisoft Quebec, as part of a larger plan by Ubisoft to divvy up production of future Assassin's Creed games between a select number of high-quality studios. The idea being that instead of trying to force one single team to force out annual releases, which was beginning to result in lackluster games, it would be better to give each team 3 to 4 years to produce a single game, with each development studio being given alternating annual release windows. Activision would soon end up replicating this idea around the same time, in regards to their own exclusive franchise, Call of Duty. Now, while normally I'd love to do a whole video dissecting this concept of a publisher dividing a franchise between multiple developers, that's not why I made this video, but it's good to keep this information in mind when discussing the game at hand today. Assassin's Creed Syndicate pits you in the middle of London, England, where you take on the roles of Jacob and Evie, a brother and sister assassin duo. The core gameplay is very much in line with past Assassin's Creed games, and by extension, most AAA games in recent years anyway. You have a massive city-based open world which is divided into a number of outlined districts, each of which can be liberated by completing side quests and ultimately killing a specified boss, rinse and repeat until you have liberated the entire city from the control of your enemies. The biggest difference here is not only do you get two protagonists, you can also swap seamlessly between them at any point during the open world segments. I say this specifically because some story quests are available for only one of the two characters, with the other sibling's absence usually being addressed quickly in the intro cinematic of said quest. You never really see a character just inexplicably disappear then instantly reappear at random intervals. Both Jacob and Evie have similar controls, but their range of abilities tend to favor two polar opposite but traditionally popular ways people tend to play the Assassin's Creed games. Do you like hardcore stealth mechanics with abilities favoring a playstyle of sneaking and taking advantage of your environment? Then Evie is probably the best character for you. If you prefer getting in enemies' faces and doing brutal takedowns, extensive hand-to-hand fighting, and otherwise favoring brawn over brains, Jacob is more your style. The game doesn't penalize you for choosing one or the other. Personally, as a character, I felt the dialogue, voice work, and character progression for Jacob really stood out, whereas Evie, while being a great banter partner for Jacob, overall felt more or less as a vehicle for plot exposition, forcing the tried and true Assassin's Creed narrative formula of, oh look, the enemies, the Templars, are once again either possessing or actively hunting this elusive piece of rock, the Piece of Eden. We have to steal it and keep it away from them, and hope that they don't take it back from us. As someone who's spent dozens if not hundreds of hours playing the Assassin's Creed games, mainly replaying Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, this recycled plot point does tend to get a bit dull. It's like as if the second, third, and fourth Indiana Jones films all revolved around the title character chasing that weird Mayan statue throughout all 4, soon-to-be 5 films. Actually, in all honesty, given what they ultimately gave us in the second and fourth films, this might not have been the worst idea in the world. Now let's talk about one of the most important elements in any Assassin's Creed game, the combat. Syndicate takes the foundations of what prior Assassin's Creed games have introduced, but alters the mechanics slightly, nudging the combat into a slightly more RPG direction, a style that the more recent Assassin's Creed games like Origins, and most recently Odyssey, have expounded upon in greater detail. No longer can you seemingly take on enemy forces akin to a small army, insta-killing each of them one by one, as long as you time your combos. While blocking and dodging are still critical to stay alive when facing multiple combatants, they will not provide you with what used to essentially be a get-out-of-jail-free card. Another gameplay element that comes back, albeit likewise with a twist, is the all too common Ubisoft tower climbing missions. There's one quest where Evie has to help out Alexander Graham Bell finish setting up one of his telephone network setups. However, the usual tedium of repetitive climbing is somewhat reduced by Evie's unique ability to use her crude grapple gun, which can fire a cable allowing her to more easily scale upwards or alternatively shimmy herself between two buildings separated by distance. If there's one thing that's bugged me for the longest time about Assassin's Creed as a series, it's a lack of innovation or evolution within either the stories or the core tenet game mechanics. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is a somewhat mollifying experience, as the developers at Ubisoft Quebec seem to at least share my perspective. Sometimes in long-standing franchises like Assassin's Creed, it is necessary to make some changes in order to breathe new life into a series that at the time was suffering from serious creative stagnation. That's not to say you have to fundamentally change the entire way the game is played, but just make subtle changes to the existing gameplay pillars, allowing existing fans to experience familiarity without going to the extent of experiencing boredom. One of the final points I'd like to touch on is the soundtrack. This is kind of a side rant, but I absolutely adore violin music. It's a musical instrument that nowadays isn't used very much as a primary musical instrument, but more often in a supportive role in a larger scale orchestra production. And as the violin was one of, if not the, most popular musical instrument of choice during the later half of the 19th century and during the turn of the century, it seems appropriate to see most of the soundtrack here in Syndicate feature violin pieces. Having music appropriate to the simulated in-game period has usually been something most of the Assassin's Creed games have done pretty well with. This was especially true in regards to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Lastly, I've got to note that the City of London looks overall fantastic. The game did tend to periodically have some odd frame rate and optimization issues, like draw distance for NPCs, but it didn't seem nearly as buggy as most previous Assassin's Creed games. If I didn't already know Assassin's Creed was Ubisoft's flagship IP, it wouldn't take that much convincing to make me believe it was a Bethesda property, with all the inexplicable game bugs that usually tend to raise their ugly head at some point, when you least desire or expect it. Overall, how well does Assassin's Creed Syndicate measure up? Well, first of all, I can't believe the game's been out for almost 4 years, and its retail price is still marked up as $39.99 on Steam. I mean, Nintendo does that all the time with their games, but Nintendo's always been a bit of an oddball when it comes to pricing. If I were you, I would wait for a good Steam or a humble store sale. Wait for it to go 60 or 70% off before buying. It's not a bad $20 game, and it's a pretty good steal at or anywhere below $10. I could very easily spend another quarter hour scrutinizing a number of different gameplay and story elements, but I'm trying to keep this video fairly short so I don't have a brain aneurysm trying to edit all this together and get a video out reasonably soon. Let me know what you think of Assassin's Creed Syndicate in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button as it really helps out the channel, and if you want to see more game reviews and Let's Play content in the future, take the time to hit that subscribe button down below and opt into getting notifications so you can be among the first to know when a new video goes live. This is WarriorDan signing out. Stay awesome everybody, and peace out.